Good morning, good evening, good afternoon for everyone around the world. We're here today to learn something something that has been very requested a lot, which is uh, talk about gig work. This gig work word that is something fairly new compared to challenges in Topcoder. Recently started 2019, if I don't not mistaken, and yeah, it's a hot topic, the new kid on the block. And the purpose is to illustrate today two sides of the story. We have the side of the life of the gig worker, what they do, what they don't do, how they organize their schedule, what is the role in the positions that they are in the gigs that they have landed, even what are the hobbies, where they come from. And we have the another side of the story, which is the process of applications and the timelines and advice on resumes and how to get those gigs that will probably make a good impact in our lives if we are freelancers or even if we are part-time freelancers. I think this will be very useful for people who want to learn about gig work and in Topcoder. So for me, I'm Luis. I'm known as Maestro in the community. And let's forget about me because we have a very distinguished set of guests and finalists that we are honored to have to be with us today. Visiting and as always here, as it happens with Topcoder webinars, visiting us from a lot of different locations. I think we have three continents together here at this moment. We have Alex. He's a fellow Venezuelan and living in Chile right now. Multiple times finalist in the Top Coder Open in the design track. He's co-pilot and now he has also worked as a gig worker. We have Penti Sunila and I hope, man, I know this is kind of the first time we talk together live. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and please forgive me if I'm not doing that right. He's known as Pena, and he's from Finland. He's a developer evangelist and top coder. And we have Miss Corey Whitcraft. She's from the United States, and she's basically the person to go when you're going through the process of applying for a gig work. So how this is going to work? What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow our distinguished guests to introduce themselves, to know where they come from, and what especially what is their role right now in Top Coder. And I'm going to be asking questions, directly to him. But if any one of the panelists wants to weigh in of any topic that we're going to be discussing, just chime in. This is all open for discussions, open discussions, and with the purpose again of helping our viewers to understand what is gig work, how it happens, and what could be the benefits of it. All right. And that sense, also, you guys who are watching this live, you can ask your questions, and we will be replying them. So you will see down here a button called Q&A, which will allow you to write down your questions, and we'll be going through them. I see our first question is something about viewing. Switch to gallery view, please. Okay, let me switch that. Oh, I'm in gallery, Danny. Maybe let me check something here quickly. Okay, speaker. Is that better? Okay. Okay, and I'm the host. This may explain that. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. I just switch back again. Okay, we're great. So to get this started, let's meet Alex. Alex, tell us what is it that you do now at Topcoder as a gig work?
Hello, Luis.
Hey.
Thank you for the opportunity. Well, basically, these days I have been working as a co-pilot and also as a DVR reviewer. For those that doesn't know what is this role about, basically it is about reviewing the design submission from members that are competing in our challenge. So we do like a pre-review process before showing all the submissions to the client. I think that so far in everything that I have done in Topcoder is one of my favorite roles because you are actually learning while you are reviewing uh,
Yeah,
another member work. So it's really, really interesting.
yeah, yeah. It definitely is. And how about you, Penty? Can you please tell us what is it that you're doing now at Topcoder as a gig?
Yes, so I joined the community team as a developer evangelist for the
Mm.
HNet program a few months ago.
Uh,
What I'm doing is developer relations, developer advocacy for that project. And what that basically means is to be sort of the middleman and the spokesperson and the face for the project for both our developers, for our community, and
mm.
then to our internal teams and to the client.
Okay.
So I'm sort of promoting the thing for our community and being there to help everyone in the community on whatever they might have
And
regarding the project.
yeah, and that would explain why in the Monday calls you are the guy who is promoting EdgeNet
Yes,
challenges a lot.
that's
Yeah.
sort of my job.
Yeah.
And I sort of take the dive to the
Uh,
.NET products before our community to make sure it's all ready and functional before we put out the
oh,
challenges. So
yeah, that's interesting.
I really enjoyed it so far. It's a really great role. It's a great project and we have high hopes for it.
Yeah, great. Happy to hear that. It's good that people is happy doing what they do here. And yeah, and next we have Miss Corey Whitcraft, our lovely Corey. Um, yeah, can you please? Well, we kind of know what you do, but can you please explain to our audience what is it that you're doing now at Topcoder?
So I am the gig work community manager. So I kind of oversee everything in the application process of gig work for the experience side. So I'm here to try and help the application process run as smoothly as possible for all of the gig workers and how we can improve that.
Mm.
And so with that, we have a few teams. We have applications. We have phone screening teams. So just everything on from submitting your application on to interviewing with the candidate.
Yeah, yeah. As I mentioned, yeah, there were two sides of this story: the lives of the gig workers and the process of basically reviewing the resumes, the resumes, and landing those gigs. And Corey takes a fundamental part on that process. So we're here today to learn about gig work, right? So I think Corey is one of our best choices uh, to explain us what is it. What is a gig work, Corey? What is that?
So gig work started as an opportunity to give our members a chance to have a little bit more of a steady income stream.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the challenge side of Topcoder, that is our history and that we are, our solid roots. And so we expanded to more of a freelance opportunity where our members who are anywhere in the world can pick different projects that are a little bit more long-term and have a weekly salary that goes along with that and pick different projects based on interests. So still that, free Topcoder lifestyle with a little bit more of a security than, just the challenges.
Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned that challenges, that word, because to give a little bit more of context, challenges is what Jesse calls the butter and the bread of Topcoder, and it's basically the fundamental way of source of income if you joined Topcoder back in 2007 as I did. And yeah, gig work is an alternative, or let's say a side, or just another spectrum of opportunities from Topcoder for people to come in and have a different experience as a source of income. Yeah, and that what you mentioned, and it calls my attention what you said about a steady income compared to challenges. This is why I'm mentioning challenges. And I think we have Alex, who has experienced with challenges is he has been a Topcoder Open finalist multiple times, and in order to do that, you need to get to know challenges. And yeah, this is just kind of an abundant questions here, and to hear your opinion, Alex, about comparing these challenges against gig work, steady income. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, are totally different because challenge have like the rush of finishing something really fast in a very short time, like 24 hours, 2 days, 3 days a week maybe. But in a gig work, it's like a regular work. So you have to attend meetings every day, daily calls, weekly calls, and you have some goals to accomplish in a week, in a month. As Corey mentioned before, it's a long-term work. So in my case, I did a gig work for 4 months.
4.
So it was 4. Yes, it was like going to a regular work every day, because every day they want to call you to see what you are doing and what is your progress so far. So it's totally different to a challenge.
So yeah, if I may ask, you worked with Topcoder, or was it a Topcoder client that you worked with? How was that?
It was a Topcoder client.
Oh, okay. So you had, I mean, that implies that you had to somehow integrate to their way of work and maybe scheduling. How was the integration part? Because let's say that you have, you're used to competing, and let's say you have your own schedule, you organize your own time. And how was that transition from, let's say being, challenge oriented to now you kind of belong, you not belong to a company, but you belong to the way of work of, some other way?
Well, for me, it was a very smooth transition because I try to spend my whole day working in the product. I mean, in some working hours. I mean, from 8 o'clock in the morning to around 7 o'clock in the afternoon. So that is the time that I dedicate to Topcoder every day. Okay. So this gig work was in that window of time. So I didn't have to work, like late night or overnight.
Okay.
So it was very, very smooth for me. Something that I remember is that when I was working for the gig work, I didn't have any extra work like a copilot, just some small reviewer tasks. So I had the full time to dedicate to the gig work, like a regular work.
Okay. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, okay, it happened to be that way, that you didn't have any other side Topcoder work. But it brings a thought to my mind is, I have a gig work, let's say I have a gig work, and can I still compete? I mean, in challenges, is it that possible? Maybe Corey can help us with that.
Absolutely, you can still do challenges.
And
we ask that anybody who is applying for a gig that's up to 40 hours a week does not have a full-time job along with that, because trying to do 2 full-time jobs is
it's a challenge,
a lot. We don't want our members getting burnt out.
Yeah.
So challenges, absolutely.
Oh yeah. That's a thought that came to my mind, and I would like to step back a little bit to the process of landing the gig, and maybe Penty, you can help us telling us how was the application process for you. I guess that, I don't know, you heard about the gig somehow, and how was it?
Yeah, so I just checked the Topcoder site and noticed that there's a gig thing, and looked at it a bit and it seemed pretty cool. Decided to try, and I noticed that there were Topcoder internal gigs, so I could actually be a part of Topcoder if I applied for those, and they looked really interesting. So I just applied, and it went pretty smoothly. And I didn't have any particular difficulties or sort of rough spots with the process, but for me at least it was really smooth.
And do you recall what was it required from you as in terms of deliverables or assets that you had to give to Topcoder for that?
I gave my CV and
Of
then I
course.
had a few interviews to make sure I was sort of qualified and the right kind of material for the role.
Oh, you said something that scares me out. A few interviews, and
I think it was just two, and they were both really short.
but it's plural. It scares me out, and that's the fact. The fact that's in the interview. And how was that? By the way, did Corey interview you by any chance? And how was that process? Who interviews the members?
Uh, Sorry, I don't remember her name, but there was first a sort of a screening interview
Mm.
with a person who made sure I had enough experience and so on, but who wasn't involved with the role
Oh, okay.
in particular, just a screening interview. After that, it was an interview with Harshit,
Okay.
who I'm sort of working under right now as well, who made sure I was the right kind of person for the project.
Yeah, you have
After
a good.
that, there was a really short interview with Jesse as well, after which it was sort of decided that I would get the gig.
Okay, that's cool. I guess that Jessie's role on this one was because she was the client, right? She's part of Top. But I guess
Yeah.
I guess that if it's someone, let's say, who's going to work for Nike, I don't know. I heard that there has been gigs for Nike, and I would guess that will be someone from Nike that would definitely take care of this interview to make sure that the person they're going to hire, fits into the criteria that they're looking for. And for any of you who has applied, any of you can reply. If both of you can reply, just go. Okay, that would be great. But what motivated you? I mean, in talking in terms of let's get real. What motivated you to apply for a gig? Because we know, for instance, people who say no. There's people who prefers challenges because they say, I don't know, I just like this rush. For instance, if you talk to someone called Ravi, he will tell you that he just loves the burning deadlines and he prefers this rush over everything else when we talk about becoming gig worker. But what motivated you individually to apply for a gig work?
I can answer first.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, honestly talking, I think the incomes,
Yeah.
when the amount of challenge towards a copilot or competitor are low in the community, I was looking for that kind of extra incomes.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked Adam about private tasks or even Daniela if she has something extra to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jessie, I remember she reached out to me and share me some links about some open opportunities. I applied to a couple, about 3 or 4, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my gig interview. But honestly talking, as I mentioned before, I think the income.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And how about you, Penty?
I was looking for something different. I had been working in sort of ordinary software development in physical companies and physical offices before, and I wanted something different. I looked more into Topcoder. I've been a Topcoder member for many years, but I'll be the first to admit that I haven't competed here as much as some others may have. So I decided to look more into Topcoder, and I saw this opportunity to actually be a part of Topcoder. And this role itself was something that really resonated with me because it involves sort of development and coding work, but it's sort of more community facing as well. So it's people working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can
That
see
kind of
that.
thing.
Can see that. For some source of income, you were just looking for something different. And as I hear, and I think when I checked your profile, you joined Topcoder a few years ago, and did have like let's say that you were not a regular competitor compared to others. And this brings a question to my mind. I think maybe Corey can give us a hand. Is if that matters. By the way, ignore that thing that you're gonna see eventually in my camera. It's a thing of a plugin that fails eventually. But yeah, going back to the thought in my head, it's about this what Penty mentioned. he's been a member in Topcoder for many years. Yet he didn't compete much, but yeah, he applied to this gig opportunity. Does that matter somehow if you don't have, let's say, experience at all at Topcoder or just a few competitions? How does it affect the the application considerations?
So members who have a rating, who have gone through challenges, who have verified skills, the application process is a little bit different because we can kind of negate the phone screen aspect of it because you're already a verified member who has done things. So it can, for people who are verified, can speed up the process a little bit. But the only thing that you really, you would miss out on our wonderful phone screening team who gets to talk to you all about the wonderful things about Topcoder.
Yeah, it's good to know that. Yeah, there may be people who he's afraid to apply because they say, what is this Topcoder? There are challenges, but I haven't never competed at any of those, and if I apply, they're not going to consider me. I don't know, and so yeah, it's good to have these kind of things sorted out up front. Yeah, and which actually makes me think here. I'm gonna take a little bit on a tangent here, and about this famous paradox of when you this they call this the employment paradox, that when you just graduate from college, or you're just, let's say, basically new at something, and they say, yeah, if you want to work, you must have experience, but to have experience, you must work. And it just make me think, what sort of advice, or how does it apply to Topcoder? Experience versus, must have experience, but I have to work in order to do that. And this is a rabbit hole that goes all the way over. What kind of advice can we tell to people who is kind of trapped in this paradox?
So the verified part of it would help you a little bit because we can see that you've worked with that skill. For members who are coming in who are possibly newer to Topcoder, like Penty, who haven't done challenges and stuff like that, the most important piece is your resume. So having your experience listed on there, we look for at minimum of 3 years of experience in a professional environment or working in some field of tech that is in the gig. And the other piece of information would be making sure all of the skills that you at that point are in your resume for the people who are, possibly newer.
Yeah, that makes sense and sounds fair. It still gives opportunity to people, to women, to the both sides of the story, to people who has experience at Topcoder and people who doesn't have any experience at all, or they're not regular competitors, as Penty was talking about. And yeah, this brings me back to your story, Penty, about you were looking for a change, something new that resonated with your current life goals. And I assume that you mentioned that you work in regular, let's say, office kind of works, and I'm just curious to know, your insight or opinion about how you compare working regularly in an office against what you do now as a gig worker.
Yeah, I would have to say that I prefer the Topcoder style a lot more. So in traditional companies, things may move really quite slowly sometimes. And it's also, I've always preferred remote work a lot. I get a lot of things done remotely, but in ordinary companies, it's sometimes frowned upon if you're remote. They think that you're not doing anything, even if by the numbers you're accomplishing a lot of things.
Yeah.
For me personally, I prefer the Topcoder style. I prefer the remote style. And from what I've seen here, everyone here is a really actual professional who has a good attitude towards their work and getting things done. So things really get done here, and that's important for me.
Yeah. Well, I guess that
there are some good parts to having an actual physical office as well. And meeting your colleagues there, because then you end up forming these kinds of work cliques and groups and teams and so on. But of course, that happens in Topcoder as well, because the importance of communication is sort of heightened here. So people used to chat a lot more and end up forming friendships through competitions and or community events and so on. But it is definitely different to actually physically meet someone every day by a coffee table or something at an actual office.
Yeah, I hear you. I get your point. Yeah, and basically, as anything in life, I mean, there are good things, there are bad things, like bright positive sides and some negative things. Yeah, but I think your balance actually weighs in pretty much with with what I think about remote work. And yeah, I'm on that same line of thought. You said that you like to get you like getting things done, and I guess that being from home, you have less distractions. But I would say that you are very lucky to have to don't have much distractions or something that distracts you to get things done. And which brings me to kind of fun side topic, about the challenges of working from home. Now you're a gig worker, now you're on your own, you can make your own schedule, you have your freedom. That's fantastic, that's okay. But then happens that oh, it's a soccer match playing on the TV, or no, my cat just jumped in my computer and he's demanding for attention from me, and that would eventually distract you from what is it that you're doing. And there are some challenges for working from home. What would you guys say? This is a question for all of you, because you are all, including me. We're all gig workers. What are the challenges now of working from home?
I think that one of the main challenge is, as you say, the time management, because sometimes we end up working plenty more than a regular office. For me, when I have a couple of the challenge running at the same time, I see myself working even at midnight. So it's something that I really hate, because there are some health issues about that. But if we want to finish everything and do it properly, we have to work many extra hours, and that is something that I find myself really challenged sometimes to manage the time properly, especially when we are working on several projects at a time.
Yeah, it's a tough one, time management. How about you guys, Penty?
Yeah. Yes, I would definitely agree. That's a definite important factor here. And like you said, in the situations like there's a football match or a cat jumping on your keyboard or something, it really emphasizes the importance of having a good personal, professional attitude, professionalism towards your work. So only agreeing to do things that you really can promise to fulfill and deliver, and then making sure you do deliver it and doing the work you need to do to get it done, even if it means extra hours or staying up at night.
Yeah.
And not getting yourself into projects that you really cannot deliver on.
Yeah, definitely. Go.
I have the added bonus of 3 children, so that adds a whole other level. But I agree, time management is difficult. You have to be able to know when you're on and know when you're off, and make that distinction at home so that you still have your work life and your family life. But at the other on the other side of it, the flexibility for me as a mom gives me the opportunity to not miss things with them. I can, run them to school and we can connect, and we can still do those little things during the day. So there's a bonus to it too.
Yeah. Corey, I'm gonna be honest with you and appreciate what you said, but you remind me of me. You want to make anything that positive out of any. I want to talk bad about remote work. Like, what are, why are you throwing me this? Oh no, no, just kidding, kidding. I mean, I just have this sort of same mindset of turning anything into a positive thing. And yes, I know, of course, juggling in the house, with kids. I complain of a cat. Imagine, not comparing cats to kids, but imagine having the responsibility to take children to school, and taking them to their lessons that they do out of school, and also working, and yeah, you should have a good time management for that. Which brings me brings another topic in my head. It's about, now we're seeing that this is important. Like, this is something sensitive, time management, and the ability of people to hold accountable for their time and the professionalism, as Penty mentioned. Is there a way that this is kind of proved, or do you look for some evidence of this in your screening process or your applications? Because now we know that this is important, because I guess that you cannot afford to hire someone who may not be as well organized, or I don't know, because maybe could bring bad results. How do you take this into consideration into the reviewing process, if that happens? I don't know.
So a little part of that would be the experience part. Is typically the people who, have had that working environment experience will have learned or started to learn that time management piece. And also through the phone screening process, we have conversations with people and kind of touch on, just what their experience is and how long they've worked in there. And you can tell by talking to somebody, if they're passionate about what they're doing and they want to be here for the right reasons, or, sadly, some aren't. But that experience piece and just your overall professionalism and how you present yourself are the things that we look for.
Yeah, that's interesting. There should be a way of, well, I guess that you have a lot of experience with this, and you develop like this sort of sixth sense of feeling when someone has it, and which leads me to to other questions specifically about the application process. And is how do you spot, or how do you detect a good candidate for any gig that you are reviewing?
So it will start with, everything being either within their Topcoder profile or on their resume. An organized resume is fantastic.
Okay.
Having your skill section visible, having your experience section with as much detail as you can concisely give, which is we want as much as you can, but you have to fit it in just like 1 or 2 pages.
Okay.
So that's step 1. So if you have the skills, you have some experience, if you're not a verified Topcoder member, you'll go into a phone screen process where we'll just kind of touch base with you, have a conversation with you, learn, your history a little bit, maybe kind of go through the Topcoder process with applications and what Topcoder has to offer. And that will give us an opportunity to, again, just kind of speak with you. And it's a little bit of a sixth sense of, you speak to somebody who is present and engaging in your conversation, and then somebody who maybe could care less that they're speaking with you. So a lot is said by meeting someone in person. Or online.
Yeah, definitely. And those are great pieces of advice. And if I dig deeper into something you said that something that you look for is a well organized resume. You guys heard that? Well organized resume. I know that can imply many things, and I know that there's a webinar coming up, and I think that you're going to actually go further on this topic. I would like to expand it here, because maybe then we're going to spoil the next webinar. But there's a next webinar coming up And I guess you, Corey, you know the date. Would you please promote it more, which better, in a better way than I am doing that?
So we have an impressive interview webinar coming on August 10th at 10 o'clock. And that's with a woman named Lily Fogel, who is actually based in Connecticut. And she is a professional interview coach. So a few things that we've seen with our candidates on the application side is that sometimes people may question their resume if their resume is good. We have one of our like member success teams, which encompasses the application and the phone screen. Her passion is also to review CVs, resumes, and give her feedback on how members can improve their resume so that when they're presenting them to Nike or NASA or, HP, some of the fantastic companies that we work with, they can feel a little bit more confident with their resume piece. So once we started that avenue, we also wanted to make sure that our candidates were prepared in an interview for the behavioral side of it. Sometimes it's hard for people to demonstrate like how fantastic they are with just a quick video interview. So this will give our candidates the ability to ask questions and to work with her and for them to have key points and skills on how to be fantastic at an interview.
Yeah, that's excellent, and that will make it a great webinar. And yeah, by the way, now this webinar is useless. Thank you guys for coming. Let's go. Goodbye. Let's go all the way for the next webinar. No, just kidding. We know that this one is an overall overview scenario of what is gig work, what is the life of a gig worker, what does it look like, and yeah, possibly the benefits and how we can apply and yeah, but this other webinar is the nitty gritty of the presentation of your presentation as a candidate. Basically, you will learn how to nail it in your interview process and how to present yourself in a way that increases your chances of getting the gig. And yeah, thank you for doing that, Corey. I will be looking forward to watching that webinar. And yeah, and talking about more about this interview process, we know now that we know that we have here two persons who went through this process. If you guys recall, talking about presentations, did you guys recall how did you present your resumes somehow? And what would you say that? I mean, according to you, I want to ask you according to you what you think that helped you get the gig, and I'm going to ask Corey, who actually reviewed your CVs, your resumes, to tell us what was it that helped you get in the gigs. So Alex, would you tell us, I mean, do you recall what was it that you put on your resume that you would say, I put this piece of information because I thought this will help me get in the gig. What was that? What do you remember? What do you recall from that?
Well, in my case, I don't think the resume helped in any way. Perhaps it helps when they were, filtering the candidates. But in my case, they asked a lot about if I have a portfolio. And when I show the portfolio to them, they spend a lot of time talking about the projects in my portfolio. They made a lot of questions about why you did this design, what is this client about. So I think that for us as a designer, a solid portfolio is much better and much stronger than a resume. Because in resume you can type anything. You can write, okay, I can design in Sketch, in Figma, in Photoshop, I can do prototypes, etc. But when you show your skills, you show, okay, I solved this using this UX tool, I did this animation, I did this design, I did this branding exploration, it actually can sell you more as a designer. So that's why I'm saying that in my experience as a designer, I think that the portfolio helps a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's essential. If you're a designer, Yeah, basically
Yes,
that's
it's a must. If you are a designer, you have to have you must have a portfolio.
yeah, that's mandatory. That's like eating breakfast, eating cereals without milk. No, you if you're a designer, you must have a portfolio. There's people who eat cereal without milk, but yeah. And yeah, how about you, Penty? Do you recall anything particular from your resume that you think helped you get in the gig at Topcoder?
Yeah, no, if you ask me personally, I think my CV is reasonably solid. I've
Mhm.
never really had any issues interviewing for places with my CV.
Uh,
What I focus on is that it's clear, concise, and I don't use any flowery language. I don't say I'm
mm,
super experienced and so on with something. I just list
okay,
things that I know this, I've done this, and so on. So it's clear, concise, and
okay,
not sort of up to interpretation, so to say.
okay.
I try to keep it factual. And as for the presentation style, I'm actually, my background is in mathematics, so I've written it
Oh.
using this kind of tool that mathematicians use to write papers and textbooks called
Like
LaTeX.
latex? Yeah, latex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've written it with that, so it gives a good style as well for the presentation.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like a stylish kind of like a formula, for writing equations, and that looks nice. I love how that looks. I don't know what the equations mean, but I do love how they look. Yeah, and yeah, those are pretty good pieces of advice here. If you're a designer, you know that portfolio is a must, as Alex mentioned. Um, I think even for developers there are ways to there are smart ways to showcase. I mean, I'm not an expert at stuff. I will leave Corey, of course, to weigh in on that. But even as a developer, there are smart ways you can showcase your work as a developer, because especially, let's say you're a backend developer, and we know that it's not very easy, or we think that it's not very easy to show how to show something visual, something tangible for people to see what you grow, because that's basically code. However, if you manage to find a way um, to put into images, I mean, how things worked, or let's say your process of how you organize, let's say the architecture or the layout of a scaffolding. We call this scaffolding in coding terms. If you manage to lay this out in some sort of map or visual way as an attachment, or some extra web page with all of this for you, I heard of companies, big companies, who appreciate when they see this, because this basically helps them understanding how is the mental process of the person when they are trying to assemble, even if it's simple data connections or some sort of stuff. There are smart ways to do that. And just basically what I'm trying to say here is that the word portfolio or presentation is something that reviewers look forward to seeing, because that's something different. That's something that not everyone is doing that. And if you can have anything additional, anything extra that makes you different from others, that would basically may increase a lot the odds of people at least noticing you. Like, okay, this is something interesting here. It's not just like not one more copy of what everyone else is doing. If you have something that distinguishes you, you should take advantage and do that. And yeah, for Corey, yeah, I'm on the same line of reasoning. Well, we already know that Alex, as a designer, he mentioned his portfolio, and Penty talked about being concise and factual about the knowledge that he has. Is there anything else that can make a resume outstanding?
Have all your skills listed in the resume. The number of candidates we email to make sure that to verify if they have a skill is high.
Mm.
So, and sometimes it's because it's the natural progression of the tech that they're explaining. So they have the end piece, but they don't have the beginning pieces because it's understood. But if you have people who are looking at your resume, they want to see any of those required skills in there. Alex is absolutely on point with, for designers, having a portfolio is key for them. They have to see the projects that they've worked on. And Penty, I like clear and concise, like those, you know, making sure everything's in there. And simply put, we don't need flowery language. You know, we just need to know, you know, what you can do, and we'll get to know you through the process of applications. We've had a couple who have applied and linked their web page with a little bit more detail on the projects that they've done on that. So and that some of them have actually been awesome. The ones that have actually done that. So that's could be an extra step for people who have that, to have put that in their resume.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great addition to that. And I'm going to make a parenthesis here just to mention the lousy moderator, the lousy host that you have. You know, we've been talking about gig work and stuff, and I haven't mentioned where to find that. So let me rewind and paste the link here. This is where you can find the gigs. This is a list of all the gigs that are available at Topcoder. Actually, I did it on purpose. I didn't want people to go at the beginning, so they didn't distract themselves with the gigs. But yeah, since we're about to wrap it up to the questions, I would like to ask you, each one of you guys, before saying bye, is I know that you have had different experiences. Even you, Corey, I saw that even Jesse mentioned that you're even a gig worker for Topcoder, technically. And what is the lesson, or what is it that you have learned about in the role that you're executing right now, that you appreciate? Any lesson that you have? It could be, I don't know, about the work, about life, but just about, you know, this way of working, the gig work. Could be about the role. What have you learned from it? This question is for each one of you.
So for me, I have learned, there's a couple pieces. One, I love the work from home lifestyle. I love being able to be here. I love being able to, you know, sit with my pets when my kids are gone, or play with my kid, like take little breaks out. So that piece I love. The Topcoder side is, I have met some of the most amazing people on this platform who are passionate about what they do, and to watch people succeed in this, you know, kind of freelance aspect, and have people get the gig. And it's our team celebrates that. And that's a really cool place to be in.
No, that's awesome. And before we move on, I just would like to make a question here. What pets do you have? Which type of pets? You said you mentioned.
Yeah, I have a cat, and I have like a 3-year-old cockapoo puppy.
Oh wow, that's good combination. Good combination. I just love cats.
It gives my husband some male presence in the house. Other than that, we have 3 daughters. So
yeah, I remember 3 daughters. Oh my god, that must be lovely.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah, for now. Let's not talk about teenaging phases. Not yet. All right. How about you guys? What is this lesson? What have you learned so far in this experience?
Well, in my case, I something that I consider that I learned a lot is to be organized with everything, organized with my time, my portfolio, my resume, because we don't know when a new gig opportunity will show up. So we have to be everything ready really fast. So it's not like a gig work just appear and we can say, okay, I need a week to work in my resume. Come on, you have to be ready. So being organized in our professional life, I think is a key.
Yeah. It applies to everything. It's a great lesson.
Yes, to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Penty?
Might not be the answer you're looking for, but I've learned to love the software industry again, sort of. I would describe myself as slightly disillusioned after a few years in physical offices. I actually got my start in programming through Topcoder. I did SRMs here, and I actually learned coding through that. Then I went to do software development, and I wasn't really happy at all. But now that I've sort of joined Topcoder through gig work, I've learned to really enjoy this technical software world again and coding world again.
Yeah, that's
It's something that it's a passion rather than just something you have to show up to the office for.
Yeah, I think it's important to feel good doing what you like, and you like getting things done. And I think this is a place for you. We have a lot of things to get done, hopefully without distractions, without cat jumping at your computer. Before going to the question, I saw a couple of questions here that I've been taking note of them. Don't you think I'm ignoring them? I know I'm a very bad host and moderator, but yeah, I'm not ignoring you guys. I just was waiting for the end. And for you, Corey, I mean, before answering these questions, is there a place where people, I don't know if it exists, but a place with resources or some sort of links or assistance for people to learn how to present their profiles? Is this available at Topcoder, or how can people get this sort of assistance?
So we have a resources page, which kind of goes through the process of application and different links on payments and like frequently asked questions that we have. So I can put that in the chat.
Okay.
Gotta find it first though.
Yeah. Okay. And
but
also,
yeah.
Good. And also,
anyone is on. Oh, sorry.
No, yes, go ahead, carry on.
I also put our gig work at Topcoder email is for our team. So anybody can always email that as well. And we can help point you in the right direction or give feedback on maybe something that we're missing and resources that we can add.
That's great. That's great. And guys, don't forget to check the next webinar coming, which is totally focused on presenting yourself, how to present yourself in the interviews. All right, I'm going to the question. I'm going to do my job as a lousy moderator today. So we have a question from Swap Neil. Hi, Swap Neil. He's a member of our mentorship program. Welcome, and thank you for being here. He asks, does the experience at Topcoder only, not at any physical companies, matters? Does the experience at Topcoder only matters for the gig interview? Do I have sort of advantages there?
Yep. Yeah. So experience is experience. I mean, the nice part about having Topcoder experience is that we can see that. We can look on your Topcoder profile. We can see it. So we can, not stand up for you, but like back your experience. We know you've worked with this technology. So yeah.
Yeah, there you have it. Thank you, Corey.